Welcome back, everyone, to another surgical course review. Today we are out at 65th Infantry Disc Golf Course, also known as Veterans Park. This course is about 10 or so minutes from downtown Kissimmee, as well as about 12 minutes away from my hospital. So this is the course that I like to hit if I get an early day or if I'm rounding on the weekends and want to get some golf before I head back home. It's not too far away from my main hospital. This is a course that doesn't get a ton of love. I think that's partly for two reasons. One, because it is quite a ways away from most of downtown, as well as the fact that it's wide open and has a lot of water and backyards. So I'm hoping that this video helps to highlight this course and really show it's a pretty solid course overall. It's not championship level or anything, but I think players of all skill levels can get some enjoyment out of playing out here. And I really hope that if you're in the Orlando area, if you live here, or if you're visiting Disney and Universal or any of our theme parks, that you give this one a look.
Hole 1 in the B position plays as a 380-foot par 3. There's a walking path which meanders throughout most of the course and is used as OB to add some challenge. There are also houses with fenced backyards to the right. In this position, the pin is slightly elevated from the tee, but the green is generous as a landing zone. Hole 2 plays as a 264-foot par 3 in the B position and is our first hole with a water hazard. If you choose to go over the water, the carry is about 220 to 230 feet. There are 2 guardian trees on the green to be aware of, which could knock you into the lake, but otherwise leave you about 15 to 20 feet short. If you don't want to go over the water, you can just play the right to left shot and land safe in the fairway. Hole 3 is one of my favorite holes because of the pucker factor. At 443 feet in the B position, you actually have a gap to hit off the tee. The pin is also somewhat blind and only 20 to 25 feet away from the water hazard on the left. Again, fenced backyards as well as an OB walking path come into play on the right, so for the right-hand backhand player, too much turn can turn into disaster quickly. Hole 4 plays as a 341-foot par 3 and is our second water carry. Similar to hole 2, you have 2 options. You can play directly over the water, but this carries a bit further than hole 2. Additionally, while you can play the safer right to left route, now the OB walking path comes into play. The path itself is also only about 10 feet deep of the B position, which may cause you to come up short.
So, as you're noticing, there's quite a bit of water on this course. Holes 2, technically 3 and 4, water does come into play, with 2 and 4 requiring actual water carries. More or less, you can definitely play the safe play to the right on both of those shots. You're getting ready to step up to the par 3 fifth, 242 foot, also a water carry. This one, you have to carry the water at some point, but it's very short and actually quite a bit downhill.
This is another personal favorite of mine, and I shot a TikTok a while back throwing some ace runs here. This is the only hole on the track that forces a water carry at some point, but it's a very short hole and plays downhill the entire way. To add some difficulty, I personally play the garden area around the backside of the green as OB. Hole 6 is a 382-foot par 3 that plays uphill the entire way. There's not too much danger on the left unless you go extremely left, but right and deep backyard hazards come into play. 2 late trees on the right do try to force a left to right moving shot, but it's not mandatory. This is one of the few holes with any elevation and a pin that sits on a rounded green, which could encourage rollaways for missed putts. Hole 7 is the first par 4 on the course at 553 feet. It's not the length that makes it tough, but the shot shape and backyards. Immediately off the tee, you have to get moving right, but the blind landing in backyards often force you to throw much straighter than you intend. Be careful though, because at about 420 to 430 feet ahead, more backyards come into play. Once you hit your landing zone, it's a pretty straightforward up and down with no trouble on the green.
So one of the best parts about this course is it's really the only course around town where you can really open up on a lot of the drives. So if you're looking to work on your control distance, this is probably the best course in town to do it. You do have to have controlled distance because, as you can see around me, there are backyards. Now, what I will say is that most of the folks that live around this course are actually very nice. And if you do throw a disc into their backyard, just go around to the front, knock on the door. Don't go hopping fences or anything like that. They will usually either let you back there to get it or they'll grab it for you.
Hole 8 is a short par 4 playing at only 480 feet. Again, it's not the distance that really gets you, but instead the danger on both the left and right with backyards, and then a road late on the left. Throw something dead straight and then attack this sloped green with a trusty putter or approach disc for an easy birdie.
So the locals will know that this course was closed for a brief period of time, a few months actually, because they were doing construction around here on the back 9. Now, if you're out here, as you've noticed, there is very little shade protection. So make sure you bring lots and lots of water. But if you got a little time to kill or you have the kids with you, the splash park is a real nice option to stay cool out here because this course gets hot.
Hole 9 is one of the shortest holes on the track, playing at only 283 feet to the B position. The only thing that makes this shot tricky off the tee is a lot of tall trees directly in front and to the left, which force a wider line than you really want to throw. Deep at the pin, there is some very thick rough, and if you get really unlucky, an OB creek, but it's tougher to get there than you think.
The other thing to know is that this is a true out and in 18-hole course. So once you get out here, you do not get back to your car until hole 18. So make sure that you bring everything that you want with you, because it's a really long walk back to that parking lot. If you do need extra water, once you get around here to 9 by the splash park, I think I do see a refill station. So you have that as an option if you do run out mid-round.
Hole 10 is another short par 4 at only 488 feet, but plays much tougher than our last par 4. All along the right side of the fairway are backyards and fences. If you fade too early with a right to left moving shot, you'll go in the OB creek and not only lose a stroke, but also likely a disc. The pin is tucked in one of the few shaded spots on the course, protected by a few tall trees and a slope leading to that OB creek. Hole 11 gives you a few options, but don't be fooled to go with a right to left moving shot, as the wall of trees along the right, coupled with the severe slope of the fairway near the green, will easily find you dropping in the water on this relatively short 296-foot par 3. You have a lot more room than you think on the left, but I like the peninsula shape of this green, as the OB lake surrounds the left, deep, and right sides. Hole 12 is another relatively short par 4 at only 525 feet, but again, as with the others, there's a lot of danger. To the left is the large lake that's very easy to trickle into. Along the right, that walking path comes into play the entire length of the hole. For those of us with average arms, even if you manage to land in the fairway, the pin is precariously close to that walking path, making any putts from the left side a little extra nervy. Hole 13 is our last hole with some decent elevation, but really only if you miss your landing zone. We're playing the 306-foot B position today. There's only one tree off the tee you have to concern yourself with. I prefer the right to left moving putter shot, but a left to right shot shape also works. If you drift too far to the left, you do put yourself at risk of rolling down the hill into the OB lake, and the landing zone itself is relatively blind from the tee. Hole 14 is a 254-foot par 3, which has water to the left and the OB walking path to the right. Like most of our other water holes, you don't actually have to carry the hazard if you stay to the right. The pin is usually tucked behind the only big bush directly in front of you, and it's very wide, so if you land short, you won't have a putt. Hole 15 is a 294-foot par 3, which brings the walking path into play along the right, with some backyards to add a little extra nerves off the tee. It's otherwise very straightforward, but the pin is partially hidden behind the tree line and only about 20 feet from the walking path. A left to right moving shot works best, but you can definitely get there carrying the right side OB if you're bold enough.
So, unlike my last round that I recorded, if you haven't seen that, make sure you go check it out. It was a course review of a small little 9-holer in Amadora, Portugal. But there's virtually no wind out here today. That is pretty unusual for this course. Typically, you're getting at least sustained 10 to 12 mile an hour with gusts up to 15 and even 20. So that's a little unusual for this course. It's also making for one extraordinarily hot round. Once again, I'm very glad I brought a couple of canteens worth of water, or I'd probably pass out from heat stroke today.
Hole 16 is the first hole in a while where you don't really have to worry about OB. With the exception of very early releases, this 380-foot par 3 is a basic right to left hyzer or dead straight shot. There's a little elevation going uphill which partially obscures the basket from view. The walking path is a solid 50 to 60 feet long of the pin, so most players don't have to worry about reaching it and going too long OB. Hole 17 only plays 238 feet in today's position. There is actually a shorter position that's very close to the walking path, but today's pin is safe. There are a few trees preventing a perfectly straight line to the pin, but single angle shots will get you good results on this relatively easy par 3. Finally, hole 18 is a very tricky par 3, playing at 365 feet in today's pin placement. There are a number of options off the tee. This hole is unlike any other on the course as it actually forces a specific shot shape and line, specifically a right to left late hyzer flip. That said, there is a non-conventional forehand route to the left. The only problem is you bring OB into play immediately, and anything on the right that pushes too long will put you into the OB parking lot.
All right, that's gonna do it out here at 65th Infantry, AKA Veterans Park, down in Kissimmee, Florida. About 20-ish minutes from downtown. Like I said, this isn't a course that I come to too often unless I have a early day in the hospital. It's a little far out of the way for me. It takes about 40 minutes or so to get here from my house, but I do enjoy this course. It's one of the few where you really can just open up and let some discs fly. But yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. If you are local and you've never actually come down here and played the course, I hope this actually encourages you to come out. There are a few holes on the front nine where you do have to worry about backyards and water. The back nine tends to be a bit shorter with the exception of holes 10 and 12. And there's not nearly as much danger to be concerned with. So As always, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far through the video, make sure that you leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. As I always say, we have quite a few more courses to get to in Orlando, and anytime I'm traveling, I have time, we'll do some more vacation courses as well. You guys have a good one. I'll catch you in the next one.